Hello and good morning and welcome back to Simply Gregster EV. Today we have ourselves a 2024 Chevy Blazer EV in RS trim. This is a bit of a controversial vehicle for General Motors, but also at the same time a very important vehicle for General Motors. We're all aware of the issues the Ultium platform had launching here in North America. So we're going to get into it and see if this is actually any good and see if the General can redeem themselves. So this is it, the 2024 Blazer EV in RS trim. I did write down some notes because last week in the last video, some people pointed out that the battery size was wrong, and we all know on the internet we can't have anything wrong. So to start, this is not the same platform as the internal combustion. This is built on GM's Ultium platform. Ultium platform is available in 400 volt or 800 volt. This is a 400 volt car. Dual motor variant on this one. It is the all-wheel drive. They do make a rear-wheel drive. This one has 288 horsepower, about 330 foot-pounds of torque. Your typical two charging choices based on battery type. There's 85 kilowatt hour and 102 kilowatt hours for the rear-wheel drive. I think this thing looks absolutely great. GM really nailed the styling on it. It doesn't look like really anything that's come out from GM in quite a long time that's been exciting or looks interesting. So I think they got the design of this really good. This one here has the 85 kilowatt hour battery pack, peak charging on it 150 kilowatt. It will do 11.5 kilowatt AC charging at home. It also has about 450 kilometers of range. The rear-wheel drive variant has about 512, 515, something around there. I love how the light bar lights up across. I find the front end on this actually looks really good. You could tell there's a bit of that old school Chevy design language going on, maybe carried over a bit from the Camaro. 0 to 100 on this, 5.7, 6.1 seconds, depending on motor configuration. Again, up front, it is, I believe up front, the rear one is a permanent magnet, or is the front one induction? Hold on. Yeah, sorry, the front motor is permanent magnet and the rear motor is induction. That's a pretty common setup on EVs these days. Starts about 62,000 Canadian. This one here, trimmed out, is closer to 70,000, which is kind of on the expensive side. But enough with the notes, let's talk about this design. So yeah, very cool design. It's riding on, what size are these? These are 21s. It actually rides quite well. We'll get into that a bit later. Lots of angles on it, lots of back cuts. Not a big fan of piano black trim, simply because it scratches instantly and it's very hard to keep clean. Let's have a look in back. This does have a power tailgate. That's awesome. Plenty of space back here for all your stuff. You could definitely fit more than a few suitcases in here. No third row, plenty of storage space underneath. You're charging, there's a level 1 charger or that flex charger they have. Plenty of space in here. Let's have a look at the back. I left the key inside, otherwise it will beep non-stop. Plenty of room back here. USB-C. I believe those are 20 watt USB-C, so they'll charge up nicely. Heated rear seats, no glass roof on here, but quite a nice headliner. There's a lot of space in here. Your typical storage, very nice back here. I quite like it. And we'll go to the passenger side. Again, all very nice stuff in here for a GM. It is very nice. Again, I just love this the styling on here. I think it looks absolutely great. It looks absolutely great, the styling. There is no frunk, it's just a big sheet of plastic. No point showing that. The charge port door is here. Sorry, get that in shot. I'm not a big fan of these over complex charge ports, as you know if you watch this channel quite a lot. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of cheap looking plastic that could fail pretty easily. Yeah, I don't know about this, about the longevity of this charge port holding up. We'll just close that back up. And it takes forever. It's like, oh no, I have to charge my car and I'm in a rush. And you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting, and you're waiting. Anyways, enough with the charge port. Yeah, see, it doesn't even come back up when you press it. Yeah, there you go. It's like that snowmobile from Futurama, actually. Careful, I'm opening my charge port door. Let's have a look inside. So here's a look inside. Very nice quality door panel for a GM product. These switches feel great. I did leave the ignition on because it will keep honking its horn, but now it's beeping at me. Let's go in here. Very, 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 very nice interior for a GM. I have to say they really nailed it in here. Just look how nice it is. This screen is great. Oh, I'll just turn it off. The screen is great. We'll go over that in a second. Again, we have more USB ports down here, USB-C, nice deep cup holders, your phone warming or your phone oven. All this does is bake your phone. It does it in every car. No one cools these. Again, a very, very high quality interior in here for a General Motor product. Good space. The seats, I'm not too sure about. We'll cover that in a minute once we get out, like we always do. One cool feature I do like is it has the instant on. There's no start button or anything to turn the car on. You just get in and drive. They kind of kept the old school Chevy truck feeling where you pull in and down to put it in drive. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. Your steering wheel is quite nice, very nice and thick and chunky, but not too overly large. Pretty comfortable, nice small airbag. I like the small and sort of simple steering wheel. Not like that Genesis we had where there was 1,000 buttons on it and you couldn't figure out what any of them did. And it kind of reminds you of like a 1990 Pontiac Trans Am where it was just endless buttons. Switching your instrument cluster, nice big bright display on here. Super quick. As I said, I'm not the best tech guy to be reviewing this stuff, but I know it's good. And this is pretty good. You have some manual climate controls, manual radio knob, but again, you could switch that up. There's buttons on the back of the steering wheel here where you could do all that stuff. Adjust your volume. I don't like how these icons here are blocked by the steering wheel, and some of the instrument cluster is blocked by the steering wheel. One pedal driving, that's to turn the vehicle off and set your charging timers and whatever. Nice big bright screen. Google Maps. There is no CarPlay on this car, and that's the one infuriating part. Is I don't know what they were thinking, but I'm an Apple guy and there's Android people out there. It's really annoying not having CarPlay. This is your vehicle status. We'll go back to here. You have different drive modes, normal, sports, no and ice. I didn't notice too much of a difference between normal and sport, to be honest with you. We're not really going to deep dive into this too much. Your charging info is here. You could set your charge limit. You could set your charge limit here. Like I said, we're not going to dive into this. I like it. It's very quick. There's not a lot of menus that are hidden. It doesn't take you a long time to find a lot of stuff. So GM on the software side did a good job, even though they had a lot of problems with the software on this vehicle. And that's why they had the stop sale. I'll put my note sheet aside and it will beep at me again, but we will turn it off. Vehicle off. There we go. The seats, they're comfortable, but I don't find there's enough bolstering on here, especially in RS trim. I don't know how well this is going to hold up either. This looks like it's already kind of getting crushed. But again, not a bad seat. I just figured in this price point, you'd have a bit something. The lack of Apple CarPlay drives me nuts. I don't understand what they were thinking. Other reviewers will tell you, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Well, it kind of is, because your phone is basically acting like an MP3 player from 2006 or 2007. Or one of those FM transmitters that you used to put in your car, or one of those cassette players you'd hook up your Sony Walkman to. I don't like it. I like the usability of Apple CarPlay. Maybe GM wants to sell more of your data. Who knows? I'm not a fan of it. It's actually quite annoying. And you just get so used to using something and then it's not there, especially at this price point. It's kind of mind-boggling, actually, that they would make a move. But hey, I'm just a random guy on YouTube that has no hair, and people at GM are making these decisions. But yeah, a very strange one. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. Let's get in this and let's go see how it drives and see if that's any good. A few things drive me crazy in here. The amount of rattles. This vehicle has a lot of rattles. There's a horrible noise coming from somewhere in the dashboard that's rattling around. There's this center console cover that's not quite on properly. This only has 2,200 kilometers on it, and the rattles in here are already apocalyptic, which is so sad because the interior is actually really nice in here for a GM product. So that's really annoying if I would spend $70,000 on this and it was rattling like a 25-year-old Chevy Malibu. That would be power and acceleration, very good. But as I said, all these vehicles are now starting to have roughly the same power outputs. This is 288, very similar to a Mach-E, to a Mustang Mach-E. It might be on the lower side, but there's still plenty of power. It's instant in EVs. As I would say, it's adequate. I know on this channel I talk a lot about the drive and the suspension tuning, but it's a very important characteristic of the car. Quite personally for me, I could care less how much stuff you could put in the trunk, because you actually care about driving the car. What does it feel like? What emotions does it convey as you're driving? Suspension tuning, excellent. They did a really good job on this. This thing rides excellent. It handles good. Maybe a bit wallowy going around the corners, but I mean, we're approaching 6,000 pounds on this, so there's only so much you can do. As I was pretty skeptical at first when I had the chance to drive this. I'm not a huge fan of American cars. I don't really particularly like GM or Ford as companies or the products that they produce, but sometimes they do produce a good product. And I think this is a good product. Is it the best EV out there we've tried? No, it's not. But it's not trying to be that. It's trying to be a bit different. They're doing their own thing. And I do think GM has engineered a great vehicle. I just find now there's too much competition in the market segments, so you have to stand out a bit more. It drives well, it handles well, it has great cargo capacity, great room, but I'm just not too sure about it. We'll just pull over here and I'll give you my final thoughts in the summary. My final thoughts on the 2024 BlazerEV RS. I quite like it. It's better than I expected, and I wasn't expecting much. As I mentioned, I'm not a fan of General Motors products or really domestic cars, apart from Tesla. GM had a lot of problems with this. I was a bit skeptical, but you know what? It's actually a really good product. It's a really good product. There's a lot of solid engineering on this vehicle, and they really nailed it. However, like all EVs, it is horrendously expensive. Yes, it does qualify for the rebate here in Quebec right now, 7,000 provincial and 5,000 federal, but those rebates are drying up, and hopefully the prices will come down once those rebates dry up. It's kind of hard to justify $70,000 on this vehicle when that Lexus RZ450e was roughly the same price, and I think a better EV overall than this, roughly the same specs on paper, maybe a slightly less range, but I feel it was a better vehicle. This does have more room. I think might be a better road tripper. It has more range. The charging curve on it is going to be a lot better, so that aspect. But how many road trips are you actually going on? Not that many. If you do, well, then get this. Would I recommend it? I would recommend it under certain conditions. One, you like General Motors products. Two, you want something a bit different. You don't want the Model Y. You don't want that Lexus I mentioned. You don't want one of the Hyundai products. You're a fan of the General. You like the looks. I do like the looks. We all know that. I do like the looks of this. Yeah, I'm just not too sure if all the quality is there. That's what concerns me, is that long-term quality with General Motors and GM products going forward is, oh well, they don't seem to last very long in terms of quality. You know, things start falling apart around 70, 80,000 kilometers. And this is an expensive vehicle. You're probably going to keep this for 8, 9, 10 years. So yeah, we'll have to see how that holds up. And yeah, that's about the only final thoughts I could actually give. I mean, it was pretty generic. There's nothing exciting about this EV. It's great. It's good. I can't recommend it. It's not something I would buy, but also I'm biased. The lack of CarPlay is really annoying, and that's a complete deal breaker for me. As I said, that was a pretty stupid decision on their part. And if you made it this far in the video, please think about liking and subscribing. We're getting more people watching, but none of you are subscribing. So please tell me what I can do differently to make you subscribe to the channel. We have the cars, we have the content. So I'm gonna leave it off with that. You could come to your own conclusions. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see these in the rental fleet at Hertz and Avis and all the general rental car companies. So we'll leave it at that. And that's it for now. We'll see you in the next video.